On today's edition of the Travel Magazine, we will take you to South Africa, where a variety of unique cultural worlds can be experienced in Durban and Shakaland. But first, to the historic villages of North Holland. Welcome in Nederland. Welcome to Holland. I'm Jake de Boer. We're in the town of Volendam, a lovely fishing port, but the traditional costume is still worn by many residents. We'll visit Volendam and nearby Monnikendam and Edam, famous for the cheese of the same name. All this and more on today's edition of the Travel Magazine.
About 45% of the Netherlands is actually below sea level, which means that this is land that we have reclaimed over the years. And reclaiming means that we would actually have lakes, filled with water of course, that we would pump out by means of windmills, later on steam engines, and nowadays electrical pumping stations. If those pumping stations wouldn't be working now, we would actually be underwater in the western part of the country. Enkhuizen nowadays has about 16,000 inhabitants. That was different in the 17th century because then they had about 50,000 inhabitants and they could boast the largest herring fleet of Holland. And in fact Enkhuizen was in big competition with the city of Amsterdam. It still shows nowadays, if you look at the town hall of Enkhuizen, it is a smaller copy of the town hall of Amsterdam. And you can also see that the herring fleet was very important because the city coat of arms has 3 herrings in it still. When the Zuiderzee was closed off in 1932 and turned into the IJssel Lake, the city had to turn to something else, which they did. They turned to the land surrounding Enkhuizen and it became a very important center for bulb growing.
The Zuiderzee Museum is an open-air museum of living history where you can experience life from 100 years ago.
It's a picture of life and work around the Zuiderzee. You would, for instance, find houses that come from the place on the former island Urk, which is now a polder in the IJsselmeer. And the Urk quarter has the setting as it used to be at Urk in 1905. You would also find houses from places like Monnikendam, but also from Zoutkamp, which is in our present province, Groningen. There's one of the houses of Zoutkamp that is really very special because we have a housewife there who demonstrates the household as it was done in 1930. In the front room, she has a special place where we used to sleep in the 1930s. It's like a cupboard with doors. And there's a bed inside where you sleep, but you sleep sitting up because people used to be afraid that they would suffocate when they were sleeping lying down. Well, the fisherman that works here during the day is a real fisherman, and he demonstrates to the visitors what it is really all about, being a fisherman. And it's just a very special setting.
be back with more of Holland right after this, so stay with us. Schiphol Airport is situated just outside of Amsterdam, but it's much more than just an average airport. In fact, it's known as the world's largest connecting airport.
Since last year we have a new system, what we call the wave system. And that means that it's very easy to use Schiphol as an airport to transfer, not only intra-European, but also Europe intercontinental and vice versa. We made some new connections and better connections, faster connections for a passenger.
From Schiphol Airport, you can easily start a tour of these historic villages in North Holland. If you're short on time, but still want to get a feeling for the Netherlands, you need only visit the Zaanse Schans. The Zaanse Schans is a living museum about 30 minutes from Amsterdam. Here villagers live in traditional green wooden houses, and windmills still saw wood and grind mustard.
They can come easily by train, by car. There's a big parking lot here. When they are here, they can visit the mills, they can visit the cheese farm. But what they also can do is take a very nice walk here for about an hour, see the wooden houses for yourself. And then all together you can be here for a morning or an afternoon. Well, in the 50s, there were just meadows and fields here. It was just grassland. And then the houses were brought here. Wooden houses made of timber. About 30 houses are to be seen in this museum, but also 6 windmills, industrial mills from the 17th century. They make paint, they grind flour, and they saw wood. But there are also water mills to control the water level in this area.
Edam and Gouda, cheeses famous all over the world. You won't want to miss seeing and tasting these cheeses as they are made.
We slice the cheese the very same way like a Dutchman, very thin, not too much. But then you do a long time with your cheese and it tastes the best. Here you are. And please don't be jealous, I have kept my promise. Here you can have samples, but you never can have samples in a diamond factory.
Throughout the villages and towns of North Holland, you will witness traditions and crafts of past ages, still proudly carried on by some of the present generations.
When a boy was in love with a girl, he would carve her a pair like those. It would take him over 50 hours. And when he was ready, he would go to the house of his future bride, and he would ask her, "Will you marry me?" presenting her those wooden shoes, which she was going to wear then on her wedding day. So if she liked the carving, that was all right, there would be a wedding. But if she didn't like the carving, would be no wedding at all. You can understand that. And you can also understand with 50 hours of carving that a boy in Holland would only try once to get married.
The village of Edam, or Edam as we say, is actually very, very old. It goes back to about the 15th century, and it's known all over the world as our village for the cheeses, which we make not only in Edam but also in the surrounding farms. If you come to see the village now, it is really quiet and quaint, and you get to see the old houses that date back to the beginning of the 16th century. We're in the village of Monnikendam, founded in 1420, and amongst them, the name of the village actually already says it was founded by monks, Monnikendam. A monk is a monk, and you see that in a lot of villages in Holland actually. You find the DAM at the end of the cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and all these cities have been founded as a dam in the middle of a river at one time or another.
In the old fishing port of Volendam, traditional clothing and shoes are still worn by some of its citizens.
They do go out fishing still. They fish for flounder and especially for eel. And if you go to Volendam, you can see that in season they bring in the eel in the morning, and it still goes to the old fish auction where they auction it off in the old-fashioned way. That means the Dutch auctioning system, starting at the highest price, the first one who bids gets to buy the eel at the highest price, and the price goes lower, lower, lower until somebody else pushes the button and buys the eel finally.
Raw herring is one of these delicacies which you simply must attempt and savor in the traditional manner. Traditions can also be discovered in your accommodation, like at the Spander Hotel.
Mr. Spander, the man who gave the name to the Spander Hotel, bought it in 1881. And he made on his business trips, he made connections with artists and painters and people like that, and he invited them to Volendam, and they came, and 3 of the painters married to the daughters of Spander. And also other artists paid their bills or had their dinners and parties paid by paintings. So that's why I have such a lovely and big collection.
We'll be back with more of the travel magazine right after this, so stay with us. With its subtropical climate, Durban in South Africa is really never out of season. Durban is a collector's mecca for creations by Zulu craftsmen. The city has a very sophisticated side. Upscale hotels and restaurants grace the Golden Mile, and within a stone's throw, you will find an exotic array of mosques, temples, and oriental markets.
Durban has everything. Durban has it all. First of all, we have an all-year-round climate. There is never real winter in Durban. And for a long, long time, the municipality have taken a very proactive view on creating for our people in Durban open spaces, if you like, lungs within the city where people can get away. And here we are indeed privileged.
Durban is an attractive cosmopolitan and cultural blend. With its mixture of Victorian and Indian architecture, its parks and gardens, and its Golden Mile strip of hotels, beaches, and shopping. One of Durban's most popular features is its harbor and waterfront, where you can stroll the boardwalk and enjoy the warm waters of the Indian Ocean.
All the year round we can swim, surf, fish in that wonderful thing called the sea, which is surrounding us. We have all sorts of facilities, everything that would be appropriate to a beachside city. One of the things that strikes visitors and is of paramount interest is that uniquely in South Africa, we have 3 very distinct cultures, and we're proud of all 3 of them. First of all, we have the white, and we have the proud Zulu nation. But we also have the Indian culture, which we have the greatest concentration of Indians outside India in one spot. And these people have a highly developed cultural heritage, which they, in fact, keep and portray, and the visitors love this. In the Indian market, you see India reflected. And I think the change between the great bustling city of Durban, its wonderful shops, to go into that environment is in fact going into a new world.
Smell, this is nice. That smells good. Very nice, a brazen spice.
It has wonderful spices. Our visitors always buy some of the most exotic spices you'll ever have anywhere in the world. I think available is about 1,000 different blends of spices, from the very hot to the not so hot.
Honeymoon spice.
It's very, very beautiful. How much is it?
Right. I will give you a fair price. This
Okay.
Oh
price
yes, you
is,
must bargain.
this price
You must, whatever price is quoted, you divide it by 2 and start from that base. And you normally compromise between the price they want and the price you're prepared to give.
Out of your head.
all right, 7.5, 7.95. I'll give it to you at 3.85.
I don't want to buy the store, I just want to buy this piece.
I gave you that at 265. What do you say for that?
I will say to you that I will go to 150.
So I could never ever give you that. That means you didn't appreciate the art.
It is beautiful. We'll make it 175 and we'll do it quick because you have other customers waiting and you're losing money because you're not getting those sales. So if you do this quick, then you are in business.
Let's call it a round deal. 200 rand on the dot.
185.
15 rand, sir. Let us live for 15 rand.
You know what we'll do? Shall we do it very quick? Let's split it.
Split it. 185 you say, and I said 200.
192.50.
So 50.
Is that a bargain?
Why not make it 195?
192.50.
Right, let's make it 193.
You're very good, and you know what? We'll do it.
That's yours. Always. That is for you.
Durban is definitely a tourist paradise with its climate and sandy beaches. To complete all that, Durban offers a wide range of hotels.
The hotel dates back to the 1840s when the captain of a sea vessel carrying supplies to British garrisons noticed the commercial possibilities of the then small harbour, and he and his brother bought the land on which the Royal Hotel now stands. And in those days it was called the Commercial Hotel. It received the Royal Hotel when we were granted a royal appointment back in the 1860s with the royal visit of Queen Victoria's second son, Prince Alfred.
Durban presents you with the opportunity to go to sleep in one world and to wake up in a vastly different one.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm very pleased to meet you. You know why I shake hands 3 times like this? This is a Zulu handshake.
Right.
We shake hands 3 times, which means I'm very pleased to meet you. Let our forefathers keep our friendship on and on till we meet again. The left hand should always be on top of your right hand, which means I've got no hidden weapon. So whenever you meet a Zulu person, make sure that you shake hands 3 times. That will show good respect.
Thank you, David.
Okay, thanks a lot.
If you take a 2-hour drive north of Durban, you can step back into history and enter the world of Shaka, king of the Zulus at his kraal. Shakaland was created for the movie set Shaka Zulu and today has become a very unique tourist attraction in South Africa.
At the present moment, we have about 10.5 million Zulus. Out of that 10.5 million Zulus, 85% still live in a traditional way. We must also thank King Shaka, who was the builder of the nation. From that day, he built up a nation. Up to date, the culture is still very much strong in this country.
Wherever you go as a man, you have to carry your your weapon. The big shield and the proper stick, or the big
We believe
shield
that
and
if you don't
the one
understand
that
and
is
respect one's culture, then at the end of the day, there will be friction. If you don't understand, you won't be able to communicate very well. So we are pleading to people to come and see this place or come and learn more about the Zulu culture. For what they've been reading about the Zulu culture, now they'll see a real thing.
A guided tour through the village would enter you into the daily lifestyle of the Zulus.
And you take the proper maize and sorghum like this. Then you pour water and chalk there. Then you leave it out for 3 or 4 days. And these parcels.
You experience firsthand the traditional crafts as you get a glimpse of native Africa. As night falls, the villagers gather around the campfire and enter into ritual dances of celebration to the pounding beat of the drums. These magical sights and sounds draw you into another world, the world of rhythm and mystique. Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. Be sure to join us again. From Shaka Land in Zulu country, South Africa, I'm Jake de Boer. Bye for now.